540 games down, just 12 remaining, and we've still got relegation up for grabs and 2 playoff spots there to be won this weekend in the Championship. I cannot wait. So let's discuss it, let's predict it, and let's preview all the action we've got coming up in the Championship. I'm going to take it in alphabetical order so there's no bias. Otherwise, we may start with Sunderland. Instead, we're starting at Ashton Gate as Bristol City take on Preston North End. 2 teams with something to play for, and quite a lot of these games have that this weekend. That's what makes it exciting. There's a few dead rubbers, but most fixtures have something, and a lot of fixtures have both teams playing for something. That's very much the case here. Bristol City, that was a bad result on Monday against Leeds. They got absolutely hammered 4-0. Could have been more. And I don't think the outcome was the worst result in the world. Getting beat at Ellen Road, not the end of the world, because they come into the final round of fixtures in a commanding position for the playoffs. They win on Saturday, they're in the playoffs, job done. But I think Monday morning, if you thought Bristol City were going to get beat 1-0 by Leeds and draw this weekend, that would perhaps likely be enough to get into the playoffs, stay in the playoffs. But because of that goal difference hammering, the one thing they had in their advantage going into the final game, well, that's gone now. They've no longer got it. They're going to have to win, I think, on Saturday. A draw might be enough, but it would very much depend on results elsewhere. And it's the same for Preston. A draw would be suffice for them, I'd imagine. But I feel like I've been expecting Preston to go down for a few weeks now. Just 2 wins and 8. Not good. They're going to Ashton Gate, where it's been a difficult place to go in recent weeks. They came out of the international break, Bristol City. They had to make their home form count. They've done it. 4 wins on the bounce at home. I don't see that changing this weekend. I'm going to go for 2-1 Bristol City. So that means Bristol City will be in the playoffs, but it doesn't necessarily mean Preston North End will go down. That depends on results elsewhere. So what we're going to do, at the end of this video, we're going to bring up the league table with all my predictions entered into it and see what that means for the playoffs and what that means for relegation. And I want you guys to get involved as well. In the video description underneath here, there's a list of all 12 fixtures. Copy it, paste it, give me your score predictions. But there's also a link to a table predictor. Pop your predictions in, hit calculate, and it will tell you who you think is going into the playoffs and who you think is going down into League One. Let me know. It's just a bit of fun. Get involved. But if you're new to the Tartan YouTube channel, please do subscribe. We're nearly on 3,000 subscribers. It'd be nice to hit that before the end of the season. When I say the end of the season, I mean the Champions League final, just to give me as long as possible to achieve it. But do also drop a like on the video as well by clicking the thumbs up button. Thank you very much. Right, from Bristol up to Burnley, who take on Millwall, 2 teams with something to play for. It might feel like job done for Burnley because they've got promotion. And I would argue it is. This is just cherry on the icing on the cake, really. They've done the icing. The cake's there. The icing's done. It's just, do you want a cherry or not? Do you want to win the Championship title? The answer is yes, of course they do. But if they were to miss out, I don't think it's the end of the world. It would still be considered a 100% successful, maybe a 99% successful season for Burnley. Winning the title would just be, it would be nice. It would be nice. But coming up against a Millwall team, 5 wins and 6, and they've given themselves a real chance of getting into the playoffs. I never expected it. Looking at the fixtures and the league table during the international break, I didn't really think Millwall would be able to do this. They've done it. They've given themselves one hell of a chance of getting Premier League football next season. They are waiting for Coventry or Bristol City to slip up, but they're going to have to do something that no other team has done. 22 teams have gone to Turf Moor this season. None of them have beaten Burnley on their home patch. So that's something Millwall is going to have to do. They don't have to. A draw could be enough, depending on Coventry and results elsewhere. But I think if they want to give themselves a best chance, I'm not sure a point would be enough. They're going to have to win. It's difficult. It is difficult. Unfortunately for them, Burnley can still win the title. If Burnley were definitely first or second with nothing to play for, maybe you could see an away win. But I can't see it. So I'm going to say 2-1 Burnley for this one. Moving over to Coventry to take on Middlesbrough. Again, another fixture with 2 teams playing for something. This weekend's got a few dead rubbers. A few games where one team are playing for something. But actually, most fixtures, both teams involved have got something up for grabs. And it's significant as well. It's not like they're playing for, 8 or 12. It's playoffs and relegation up for grabs. Not in this fixture, it's just playoffs. Coventry, just 2 wins and 7. The form has dipped. They shot up the table under Frank Lampard, went straight into the playoffs, stayed there, and now they've just started to drop down the places in the playoffs. They're clinging on. They're sitting in 6th place at the minute, but they're going to need to get something, because if they get beat, Middlesbrough overtake them. Everything to play for in this game. Middlesbrough, just 1 win in 5. They've been so consistently inconsistent this season. They're a real flaky team, and I think Carrick's done a good job, but I don't think he's done a wonderful job, and he's under pressure. Frank Lampard, not so much. I think it would be seen as a failure if Middlesbrough miss out, but it would be seen as a success if Coventry go on and get it. But Borough have only scored 3 in 5. That's not great. I think they are missing goals. I'm going to stick with that. I'm going to say Coventry City 2, Middlesbrough 0. Then we go to Derby. 2 teams playing for something from the playoffs to the relegation. Derby County taking on Stoke City. My word, this is not great. This is not great for Stoke City, is it? A point will be enough for them. They just need to get a point. Derby, a point could be enough, but it would depend on other results. And when I say it could be enough, I think it should be enough. I think a draw would satisfy both teams here. Of course, if it comes through that Hull City is winning and whatnot, then you might see Derby panic a bit and try and go get the win. That could see them get that, but could also open the game up for Stoke. But I think this game is really difficult from a mentality perspective. Because if you're going into this game and you're Hull City, you know you need to win. You lose, you're relegated. You have to win. You go into this weekend as Michael Carrick, you know you have to win. For Coventry, it's a bit more dangerous. A draw might be enough. So do you play for a draw? Do you play for the win? And Stoke's like that. Do you turn up at Pride Park and try and get the draw, knowing it's enough? So therefore, you're maybe a little bit more conservative, a bit more pragmatic, a bit more defensive, shut up shop? Or do you go and try and get the win and make sure that everything's hunky-dory? I think it's hard. I think it's a really tough game for Stoke and Derby because, again, a draw should be enough. But if you go out there and play for a draw, very quickly things could go against you. I think depending on the nature of the other games, you may find at half-time Derby will know a draw is enough. But they will know they need to win. Very interesting game here. The format minute 7 points in 5. It's all right. I think Derby have looked quite good under Eustace. I'm going to say 1-1 though. Usually, the most predictable outcome is the correct outcome. Norwich taking on Cardiff. Here's a dead rubber. No wins in 13 between them. Norwich have been on the beach. Cardiff have just got relegated. And I feel old. This fixture, Jack Wilshere against Aaron Ramsey as manager. Then we've got Frank Lampard at Coventry. We've got Michael Carrick at Middlesbrough. These things are not helpful at Hull. Of course, I've got... not Hull, Tom Cleverley at Watford. It's these. I feel old when I see players I grew up watching as managers. Not good. Not good for your self-esteem, is it? But listen, I'm going to go 1-1 for this one. It is difficult to predict this one. And to be honest with you, I don't really care. And that's no offence to Norwich or Cardiff. It's just that there's lots of good fixtures in the Championship this weekend. That ain't one of them. Plymouth against Leeds United. Leeds are not officially, but they're down, aren't they, because of the goal difference? Unless they're going to go out and win 15-0 against Leeds, then Plymouth are down. But it's been a really good effort for them to stay up. 3 wins in their last 4. They're in good form, and it's a shame, really, because had they been in with a chance of staying up, this is an incredibly difficult fixture for Leeds United to go and win. But because they're down, this game's got a little bit easier for Leeds, I think. You never know. You might see Plymouth come out swinging because they are in good form. And I think there's a real sense of pride from what I've seen from Plymouth fans in the sense that they've made a real good fist of staying up and they've been a bit unlucky to go down before the final game of the season. And I'm a bit sad as a neutral that they've gone down already because it would have been exciting if they could stay up. But they've just had that one additional point. It would have been all to play for this weekend. With that said and done, Leeds battered Bristol City away with ease at the weekend. Win this, they win the league. I think there's going to be goals though. I'm going to go 4-2 to Leeds United. Portsmouth taking on Hull City. Pompey job is done. They're in the Championship next season. Hull City need a win, really. Just 1 win in 5. Struggling to score in the relegation zone going into this one. They need 3 points. And I can't work out if Portsmouth is a good fixture for them or not. Because Pompey have stayed up. However, I'm not sure they're going to let off. I think there's 1 or 2 teams, like Norwich, for example. You think, that's a team you want to play. A team that's just given up. They don't really care. While Portsmouth are safe, I'm not sure they've got that about them. I think they'll go out and try and win this fixture. I think there's a bit of like a good vibe around Portsmouth at the minute. It's been a good achievement for them. And I'm pleased for them, especially with, Freddie Potts there. I've got a bit of bias. Like, I don't hide from my West Ham bias when it comes to the Championship. I want to see Cardiff do well. I want to see Lee Manning and George Earthy do well at Bristol City. I'm pleased to see Freddie Potts do well at Portsmouth. So it gives me a small affiliation to that club, even if it's just for a season. But I don't know. The Championship is unpredictable. The Championship is chaotic. And I don't think it would be in keeping with the Championship if Portsmouth won this game. I think form suggests Portsmouth will win. Hull will struggle to score a goal, never mind get anything out the match. But because it's the Championship, I think Hull City win. I think there's chaos on this final game of the season. And for there to be chaos, certain teams are going to have to win and certain teams are going to have to drop points. And one of the teams that must win is Hull City. So I'm going to say 1-0 Hull. There is no logic other than the Championship is mental. And I think this result will be one of them. Moving to Sheffield United. My word, they're not in good form. Up against Blackburn, who can get the playoffs as well. Sheffield United, I feel like, have all but given up to some extent, and understandably so. They did win last week against Stoke, which surprised me, to be honest with you, because I thought I was looking at a team with nothing to play for and a team that needed a point. But again, I go back to that mentality thing for Derby Stoke. I didn't watch the game, so did Stoke approach that game with that mentality? We get a point, we're all right. I wouldn't be surprised, or I fully expect Wilder to start rotating his team a little bit. You want a bit of momentum going into the playoffs, of course you do. But I think the priority is to avoid injuries. You want to make sure that your key players are fit, that they are well rested up. So I think as a result of that, we might see a rotated Sheffield United side. Not a complete one, but a few players left out to protect them. And they're coming up against a side who have everything to play for. Blackburn need to win. They're going to go for it this weekend. They're in fantastic form themselves. I'm going to go 2-1 Blackburn. I do. I think they're going to do it. I'm going to go 2-1 Blackburn in this one. Sunderland against QPR. 4 defeats in a row for Sunderland, but essentially it's a dead rubber. They're 4th. Again, a bit like Sheffield United. The difference is I feel like Sheffield United don't need momentum. I think they could lose this game, go into the playoffs, and they're still favourites to go on. And funnily enough, that Sheffield United Blackburn could be the playoff game, the playoff semi-finals. But with Sunderland, it feels like they've been poor for a longer period of time now, and it feels like they need to get a win under their belt going into that playoffs just to give them a bit of confidence. Likely, at this moment, be playing Bristol City, who are in and out of form, they're inconsistent. QPR, though, no manager. He's on gardening leave. I think it was expected he'd leave at the end of the season anyway, off to West Brom. So how are QPR going to approach this game? A difficult one to call, so I'm just going to go down the middle. But I think there might be a bit of fun at the Stadium of Light. I'm going to say Sunderland 2, QPR 2. Now, off to Wales as Swansea take on Oxford. Well done, Oxford United. This is going to sound a little bit patronising. I don't mean it to be, but I think it's a huge achievement for them to stay up. I feared the worst for them this season. I thought they'd be relegated. But to stay up with a couple of games to spare as well, fantastic achievement, really well done. And I think I wouldn't be surprised if it was party mode for them this week after securing Championship football next season. Do they really care about this fixture? And I think there's a big difference when you're playing at home and you're playing away. Portsmouth are playing at home. Your home fans are there. End of season. Sun's out. Everyone's had a few beers. Go out and put on a show. When you're away from home, I think it's a bit easier to say, listen, let's just bin this one off. It's been a long season. It's been a long, big 45 games. let's not worry about the 46-1. Swansea in great form, actually. 5 wins before they got beat by Millwall, which shows how good Millwall have been when they've beaten Swansea. I'm going to go 3-1 Swansea. I'm going to go for a bit of laid-back fun at the Liberty. Sheffield Wednesday against Watford. 1 win in 8 for both teams. That is the form of Watford. That is the form of Sheffield Wednesday. A fixture that not too many fans are going to be too bothered about unless you support either of these teams. And even then, you perhaps won't be too bothered about it. Playing for pride and some prize money in the league, I guess. A bit like the other games that I'm struggling to call. I'm just going to go down the middle on this one and say 1-1. And that leads us on to West Brom against Luton. Huge game down at the bottom. This was expected to be a huge game for the playoffs as well as relegation. Not to be. West Brom managerless in horrific form. 1 win in 9. Luton won 3 in a row. Need to win and you stay up. So it's a big game for them. I think this is the perfect fixture for Luton Town. Like I said, there's possibly only 5 or 6 teams you can look at in Championship. I like to play them this weekend. We should beat them. And those are the sides with nothing to play for. West Brom's one of them. And then you want the sides that look like they've given up. West Brom are one of them. It could be better for Luton. It could be at home. It is not. It's away from home. But I expect them to win this game. I think they will win this game. I'm going to go 2-0 Luton Town. But what does that mean? So we've done our predictions. We've said who we think will win, who we think will lose, and the games that we're not too fussed about. But what does it mean for the final league table? So I've gone on, I've put those fixtures, those predictions into the league table, and this is what it spits back out at me. So winning the league, obviously, we've got Leeds United with Bristol City securing 5th place and Coventry in 6th place. Down the bottom, it's what I expected for quite a few weeks now. And that's Preston North End getting relegated to League One with Derby and Stoke, with that point being crucial for Derby County as well. But that's only if my predictions are correct. If you support one of the teams involved on Saturday, good luck, best of luck to you. I know what it feels like when you're playing for something significant either end of the table. It is nerve-wracking. It's a very long week for you, regardless of who you support. I hope things go your way. Unfortunately, it's not going the way for some of you, but for most of you, I hope you get what you want. But best of luck. And if you're a neutral like myself, sit back and enjoy it, because it's going to be a fantastic final day of football in the Championship. And I'll catch you in a bit.